Coming up next, Congress is, they're trying to get involved in college football once again. Some of it might be some good ideas, some not so good. We'll discuss all that coming up next year on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, I generally don't like when the government wants to step in and tell college football how it needs to run itself, or collegiate athletics how it needs to run itself. One, those guys don't have any clue as to the issues that administrators in the respective sports are facing. They just see it from a big picture view. And a lot of it has to do with they don't like the transfer portal. They don't like name, image, and likeness. And so they want to make a lot of changes. And the Senate came out with, is introducing
the House.
Bill.
It was the House. It was the House.
The House introduced a bill called the SCORE Act that really is trying to put a limit on name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, the funny thing is so there's three elements that really is being lobbied by the NCAA that they've been asking for, and the bill has these elements for them, antitrust protections for them, meaning that, you know, they can do things a lot different than we allow other businesses in this country to run. You're going to get preemptive of state laws that regulate name, image, and likeness, which means that they'll override anything that the state of Tennessee is trying to put out there, to where they can just like, you know what, we're going to ignore the Fed. We're going to ignore, you know, NCAA. The state should be able to override anything they say. That's going to eliminate that. And a section that prevents athletes from becoming employees of their schools. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. If you watched Big 12 Media Days, I did, because I'm a degenerate and I probably need to go see help. And Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, made a statement there stating that the college football needs a salary cap, which is a very fascinating proclamation that, I'm going to be quite honest, I agree with. You can't have that without collective bargaining. So in some capacity, you got to figure out how to do collective bargaining, which could lead to, in a way, that these students have to become some sort of an employee of some sort of organization that allows them to be able to collectively bargain the cap, their pay, etc. We're probably not going to get to that point, because that is the one thing the NCAA wants to fully avoid, because it adds more responsibility on their back, and it also cuts away from their pie. So, John, when I saw this act, I read through the SCORE Act. I read through it a couple of times. I'm trying to just wrap my head around it. I get some of the components of it. It's kind of the feeling of a broke clock is right twice a day to me. There's some things in there that make sense. Probably two things. The rest of you like, so you want to stop people from being able to make money. We want to take away the free market capitalism that has always run this company, because free market capitalism is, you know, the foundation of America. Why are we trying to stop people from making money? I get that people don't like the way that they're doing it. They don't like the way that collectives and boosters are circumventing as many rules as possible to do what they like to do, give money to players and get zero benefits back besides bragging rights at the end of the season. I don't really care. I think that it's a good thing that kids are going to get paid from this. I just think that boosters are dumb, and they have a tendency of being that way. Let them be dumb. Let the kids benefit from it.
I like that at least they're looking for a little bit of uniformity. You know, the whole, each state can have its own name, image, and likeness rules. I don't care for that, you know, because it does put it puts a bit of a damper on the whole thing. Like, if Tennessee can go out and just kind of do whatever it wants, it's the Wild West out there, but you know, Kentucky, that's right next door, has to abide by certain legislation that's going to limit what the Wildcats can do. That, to me, that's kind of ridiculous. Everybody's got to be under the same kind of guidance, the same kind of interpretation of the rules, so that it creates at least the semblance of a level playing field. There's never going to be a level playing field in FBS football, because you've got the Power Four, and then you've got the Group of Six, and you got independents and things like that. The other thing that I can, I guess, appreciate a little bit about this is the antitrust part of it from the NCAA's perspective. They can't do anything without being sued. They can't attempt to levy discipline against an academic institution or against a program without being sued. They have no disciplinary power. And everybody's like, why doesn't the NCAA do something? Why doesn't the NCAA do something? Because they're going to get sued. And eventually you run out of money. You get tired of having to spend millions upon millions upon millions on these lawsuits before, having to go then to the Supreme Court and argue your case. All that stuff costs money. And that's money that your program, I'm sure, would rather have available to spend on your athletes. So quit suing the NCAA, everybody. Just chill.
It's kind of hard to stop, though.
It is hard to stop.
They keep putting themselves in situations where it's really easy to sue them. Here's the problem I've had.
But I think the thing, listen, we got the House settlement. We got the O'Bannon thing that introduced name, image, and likeness. We got down that road. Now just everybody just back off the NCAA. Like, it's okay. Just let them be a little bit. Let them do their thing a little bit. Because everybody's asking the NCAA to do something, right? But then when they do something, everybody's mad about what they do.
I mean, they've created this monster, though, John. This is the problem I have with that is they could have avoided this by doing things the right way from the beginning.
Of course. Yeah.
As you start to hit these massive contracts, the first thing someone looking around should have been like, hey, y'all know that they got grounds to sue us, right? Somebody in the room should have been able to like, hey, we're making a lot of money. I love when Joe Clapp pointed this out right around the time the Austin lawsuit started to go down. This was, the addition to the Ed O'Bannon situation. And Joe Clapp over at Fox Sports pointed out that like $90-something million was being paid to 5 coaches to not do their job. And it's like you could take that and give just about every player X amount of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
You can do that. That could have been done. If you had provided that before, if you had taken it, let's put it this way. NCAA goes in, they bring up these massive contracts, which are usually double each time that these TV deals go down. They said, you know what, we're going to allocate 50% of this towards all the athletics, and we're going to split that up among the revenue making schools. I bet you a lot of this stuff, a lot of this that we're dealing with now would have been mitigated. The NCAA would have looked like they had more power because they would have been talking to the conferences and let them know, hey, forward thinking. Yeah. We need to find a way to compensate these dudes and these gals because why? They're bringing in billions. We probably should start because somebody's going to look at this money and ask questions. And that's when the question started being asked because you have college football coaches making more than NFL coaches by wide margins. Mm-hmm. That is when you started to really open up Pandora's box. The NCAA's problem isn't that their problem isn't that they're being attacked by everybody. Their problem is they open the door for people to attack them. If they would have had that bad boy sealed in some capacity of, hey, we're doing this to make sure people are taken care of, wouldn't be here. The booster involvement, though, is where your problem lies. The way boosters are doing is where the issues lie. And that commission, John, have already started rejecting the smallest deals in the world. And I think they've just opened it up to where things are about to get worse.
Speaking of boosters, I find it really, really interesting that the Texas Tech guy, the billionaire guy, Cody, that he was at Big 12 Media Days talking about how he wants to save college athletics, all while just pouring money into Texas Tech and NIL and all that. Anyway, I found that was interesting. So lack of leadership, man. And I think that is something that we've seen in college football over the last 10, 15 years, whether it's at the NCAA level or the Pac-12 level. Like the reason the Pac-12 fell apart was a lack of leadership. The reason that the NCAA is in the state it's in right now is because of lack of leadership. Absolutely. It set the stage for where we're at. And them as a governing body has been asking Congress to help them with something, to give them their teeth back. But Congress has been really slow to act, slow to get involved. They had no interest in figuring out a way to make this happen. Some of it, I'm sure, is because the pressure of their constituents. These big athletic programs may not want the NCAA to have a whole lot of teeth, but it is an issue created by their own lack of leadership. I totally agree with you on that, Jay, that the NCAA, they could have acted earlier to make this less of an issue, but their lack of action, a lot of times that's what sets you up for failure. So we'll see what happens. The other thing that we didn't really touch on is they want to enact a one-time transfer rule and a one-time transfer portal period. I think this both has positive and negative benefits. One, here's the positive, and real briefly, and you can respond real briefly too. The positive is it forces players to be patient. Too many times, guys aren't happy with their situation just after 1 year, and they want to bounce. When maybe if they would stick it out 2 to 3 years, they might find their situation to actually be more beneficial to them and actually allow them to develop a little bit. Look at the 2022 class and how important they're going to be for Oklahoma this year. A lot of that core, R. Mason Thomas, Grayson Halton, Gentry Williams, Robert Spears Jennings, Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, they didn't play much their true freshman season. Well, look at them now. They're about to be stars for this team.
I like the one-time transfer portal window because it makes it easy for roster management, especially with revenue sharing. Yeah. I actually love the idea of having the national signing day be July 1st, right when you hit your first big dead period, mainly because I've seen some coaches and I think some GMs had anonymously talked about this as well, that it makes sense to do it then because that's when you can start preparing for next year and you can focus on football throughout the entire year. And then, if anything, scout for the transfer portal to see who ends up getting in there, or, tamper whoever you want to get out of the transfer portal during the regular season. But you can focus on just ball from there. And I like that idea because it totally makes sense. And then having a one-time portal window right there at the end of the season is probably the smartest way to handle things. Having two windows hurt. The first window, especially after the season ends, coaches like the idea of that because then they can get players in that could go through spring practice and then kind of go from there. Now it makes people have to make that decision of, all right, do I really want to leave or do I want to stick it out or whatnot? Totally agree with you on that capacity. But this is the thing, though. I do think it outweighs more that kids are pushed out than kids actually leaving for because they don't want to be developed. I think in most of those situations, most of these kids don't want to go anywhere. The ones that want to be developed, a lot of them kind of have to get kicked out sometimes because they're not developing at the rate that's needed in order for them to participate on that particular team. Right. I could totally see it, though, that, some kids do bail. I mean, I know that happens. The other thing, though, is a lot of the kids that are bailing usually are bailing up. Like if the guy's bailing down, most of these fans want that. If you're someone that should only be playing in a G6, we don't want you on our team. I mean, just ask a fan. They'll tell you they're not very empathetic to players that they don't feel like is cutting the mustard the way they want. So I agree with you in that capacity. I like the idea of one, but man, yeah, I don't know. I don't think if it's really a development piece because you're right. A lot of players need to stick around and get to that last year, have that one really good year because most of the time that's all you need to go to the NFL. If you have one really good year, you probably can go pro.
Drafted.
You're going to get drafted. That's all that matters. The question is where. Now, if you want to try to up your stock by having an even better year, be careful. It's very hard to do that. If it's already saying you got a chance to go to the draft, do it. Yeah. Now, things around you is going to be improved, and it's going to help you to show out, hey, go ahead and stick around one more year and make it happen. R. Mason Thomas, I think he's going to be a great example of that this year.
Yeah, and also, if a coach leaves, transfer portal is open. That needs to
got to be. Yeah, you can't not do that.
Stay. If a coach can up and leave in the middle of a contract, players should be able to have that same freedom. Anyway. Yep. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on every podcast platform and on YouTube, so hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check him out at Unfair Sports on his YouTube channel. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners. And hey, guess what? Locked On Sooners is going to be at SEC Media Days next week, Monday through Thursday. Cannot wait to get down there to Atlanta, share with you all kinds of great content. So make sure you're tuned in and subscribe to the YouTube channel, in particular the YouTube channel, because we will be dropping shorts left and right from interviews with media members, with players, coaches, all that stuff. So go check it out over there at YouTube as well. Until next time, he's Jay. I'm John. Talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.